Well, there's a lot in that one. I mean, where should I begin?
Wherever you want to begin. It's your show.
All right,
I'm just here moderating.
We'll start with the cutting edge part. When a man is free, and it puts him closer to God, first of all. The path is open to get to God. It's probably in both of those magazines to keep me off the cover and out of their magazine, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to preach freedom, all right? And I'm going to preach the annihilation of contracts, all right? And see, without contracts, you ain't going to need lawyers, because nobody's going to be in court arguing about money, which has no power, ultimately. All right, so it's in their best interest to keep me out of those magazines. I completely understand. I only ask them to put me in there, and I will ask for what I believe I deserve, because I think I'm great. Just think I'm great, you know? And, we're still selling out arenas. And so somebody else thinks I'm pretty great, too. And I don't say that to be arrogant. I say that to show that I love myself. And if more people did love themselves, they'd stop worrying about whether someone was cutting edge or not. I
want to get to this premiere video in a second, but let me just piggyback one quick question, then we'll go and stand by. We're about to premiere the new video, the latest video from the artist, in about 2 seconds here. Part of what your critics also say with regard to what we're discussing now is that while you may be making money because you control your whole environment now, you're keeping more of what you make. But that does not necessarily mean that you're selling more records than you used to sell. Isn't it not true, artists, that you're not selling the records at the level you used to sell them?
Absolutely true. Okay. But then again, we're not in as many stores. Some stores are player hating, and
people player hate.
That's right, rightfully so. I expected this, but then again, I don't gauge success based upon the way other people gauge success. This isn't about SoundScan and C-SPAN and all that. This is about our plan. This is about what we believe now. And if you ask any artist, the music is a success upon creation. When you give it to somebody like a Rolling Stone or a Vibe and they start critiquing it, then your perception changes. But that's looking through somebody else's eyes. So again, we gauge success based upon what we feel in our hearts. We've shut our minds off now. Minds should be used for what they were made for, filing cabinets. We think with our hearts.
Okay. I ain't mad at you. We've been promising it to you for weeks, and now the time is finally here. It is the BET world premiere of the newest video from the artist entitled Come On. Hit it, Lamar.
I know you got a young man, you don't care about me. He's darker than quicksand, he's taller than a tree. But what you need is some real loving, instead of young ass fools. I got the butter for your muffin, just need the keys to the room. Come on, baby, come on, shake it now. 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 We could freeze in London, you could hear me sing. And if you wanna make love, then you got to wear my ring. Cause I don't want no mistress, I'd much rather be bound. Let's find a preacher so we can get down, down, down. Come on, baby, come on, shake it now. Come on, baby, Come on, shake it now. Come on, baby. Come on, shake it now. Come on, baby. Come on, shake it now. You and your girlfriend, y'all two of a kind. Just running these knuckleheads, 3 and 4 at a time. Both of yous want babies, but you're still acting wild. The first rule in making one, you can't be no child. Instead of hitting that lemmy, why don't y'all hit the dough? I'll book us on the red eye, we'll be good to go. And if every life has got a reason, you can be mine. Perfume in the bath, darling. Champagne while we dine. Come on, baby. Come on, shake it now. 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 20 days in London, you ain't give me no love. Could it be another brother, man, that you're thinking of? Or could it be your girlfriend, who never ever been straight? When I ask you, are you hungry? You say you already ate. You can play me if you wanna, but you better let me know. I don't need to play the good licks if I ain't gonna be no show. I'm better off sleeping with my guitar if you ain't gonna sing. Strapped to the body, making love to the strings. Butter for your muffin. Come on, baby. Come on, shake it now. Come on, baby. Come on, shake it now.
I can't hear you. Why don't you take old man with you?
You don't like old man?
You don't like old men?
No, sorry.
Hey, I got the butter for your muffin, honey. I'm just too old to hold the knife.
We're back live here on BET Tonight. I'm Tavis Smiley. He is the artist. There you saw the latest video from the artist. Come on. I hope you picked up on the fact that was the artist dressed up in that little old man outfit.
No, was it?
That wasn't you?
No.
That was not you hiding that?
Yeah.
Sure it was. Sure it wasn't, I should say. Speaking of that outfit, you last week speaking of play hate, got dogged, if I can say so, in the New York Post on page 6 because you wore an outfit similar to that on stage at the GQ Awards when you presented Chris Rock, the comedian, with an award. And I don't have time to read what they said about you, but it starts out by saying, this, believe it or not, is a picture of you in the paper. This, believe it or not, pictured above, is the weirdo still known as Prince.
Well, there you go.
And they go on to dog you about this
There you
outfit.
go.
Apparently they hadn't seen the video and didn't understand what the synergy. You upset about this?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, that they draw that type of energy towards themselves when they make such comments.
Right.
You know, I never respond to a mentality like that. It's useless.
People have always been obsessed. I mean, from day one. And I wish I had time to just roll out a whole stack of photos here of how your image and how your look has changed over the years. People have always been obsessed with the way you look, with your style, with your appearance. Why do you think that is, number one? And tell me honestly whether or not you play into that, you take advantage of that, and you tease people, and you play on that. That obsession with your image.
Sometimes I do, but I think they are vicariously living through these image changes. You know, at the heart of the matter, though, is the music. You know, I am a musician. I don't sample. You know. It's not Memorex. I go on stage and my microphone is on.
Speaking of sampling, what do you think of sampling? It's not for you, but what do you think about other people who do it, because everybody other than you practically is doing it?
You know, I wouldn't know what to say about it. I can't have a real educated answer for that because I play, I guess, you know. When you can sit and play I Want to Take You Higher for 45 minutes with the man who was in the studio when it was recorded, Larry Graham, I mean, why you want to sample something? That, you know, just for me, personally.
Do you have any idea? This is just total curiosity on my part. One of the great things about hosting a show is every now and then you can ask something that you just want to know. I don't know if anybody else wants to know this, but I am so curious as to how many, if you have any idea, how many unreleased songs done, cut, unreleased, sitting around Paisley Park in PG. How many songs do you have unreleased? Do you have any idea?
I kind of don't like to speculate because it's upwards of 1,000, but...
songs that are done that could in fact just...
Yeah, it's upwards of 1,000, excuse me. I don't like to speculate because it makes me tired. It makes me realize that I actually am 40 years old, so...
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
The artist is 40 years old. He said it, not me. We'll talk about how life changes when one turns 40 and when one gets happily married and hooked up with a beautiful young wife like the artist has. And coming up later in this show tonight, Shaka Khan and Larry Graham are out there. They're going to come in here and they're going to join this conversation. You're watching a special 90-minute version of BET Tonight. See, I'm all choked up because of this guy. We'll be back to continue our conversation with the artist in just a moment. Stay with us.
Can do this all night. I know you got a young man, you don't care about me. He's darker than quicksand, he's taller than...
Welcome back to BET Tonight. I'm Tavis, Smiley. Pleased tonight to be joined by the artist. Hopefully you are enjoying our exclusive conversation with him. But before we continue that conversation, let me tell you right quick about our show next Monday, November the 2nd. Another exclusive, our scheduled guest next Monday night, President William Jefferson Clinton. What? In his first live interview since the grand jury testimony tapes were released. I see the artist is excited about that. That's on Monday, November 2nd at 11 p.m. Eastern, the President of the United States, our scheduled guest, in an exclusive conversation. Hopefully you'll be here next Monday night. Well, don't miss tomorrow night and Thursday night, but Monday, the President of the United States. Now, back to the artist, formerly known as Prince, and your phone calls. Tawana in Maryland, I thank you for holding. You're on the air.
Hi. Hi, I'm sorry. I'm not even going to try to put into words how big an admirer I am of, well, I don't call him the artist, I call him the genius. So I'll just go ahead and just ask my question. My question is, this interview is basically live and not taped. So what made you decide to come on to this particular show and do such a personal one-on-one interview that's not in a controlled setting? I mean, Tavis isn't even playing around. So what would make you come on out and do a uncontrolled interview like this?
Well, thank you for your compliments, first of all. I just wanted to, as we approach 1999, I've just been doing a lot of thinking about how people of color have been left out of the space program. They don't really see us in Pleasantville. You know, and I think a lot about something that is going to unite us all. We have to find out what that is, because, you know, if Jesus came down here, we'd probably not recognize him. And I think it's important that we all unite for something now. And I just wanted to come on and talk about maybe that could be freedom, you know.
I'm glad you came on to talk about it.
Yeah.
Tawana, I thank you. Teresa in Delaware, you've been kind to hold you on the air at the artist, and I'm glad you called.
Yes, how you doing, Travis and the artist?
Good.
I want to say that, Prince, I think you are so fine. But my question is to you, how come you don't have any concerts in small towns, and how come you're so private where the public cannot get a hold of you to, as far as like writing you letters or getting anything or more information about you?
My first experience with a fan, and I call her a fan because she was pretty fanatical. I used to answer her fan letters all the time, and she became very attached to me. And next thing you know, she was at my door. And she didn't want to leave. I've had people come up to my porch and try to get in, break in, all kinds of strange things. So I've been pretty private since these events. As far as playing concerts in smaller towns are concerned, we have a lot of plans for doing concerts from now until I can't jump off pianos no more. You know, I was on stage recently and I said that people asked me what it felt like to be 40. I said, I don't know, because I'm 17. You know.
And still jumping off pianos.
I'm going to still jump off the pianos.
Sharon in Maryland, thanks for holding. You're on with the artist, and I'm glad you called.
Good evening, artist.
Good evening.
I would like to know where you will be performing for New Year's 1999, and will it be televised?
Hopefully I'll be in the light. That's all I really want to say about that.
Let me ask you, in the time I have left before we go to the top of the hour, stand by, I should say, Shaka Khan and Larry Graham coming up in just a minute here. I got one minute here, artist. I don't know if I have time to even ask this and get started. As you look back on the song 1999, when you wrote it, and where we are now on the verge of 1999, any quick thoughts that come to mind?
Yes. If the sky has blood in it, blue and red make purple.
We'll ponder that during this commercial break and come back and continue our conversation with the artist formerly known as Prince. And in just a moment, we're joined by Shaka Khan and Larry Graham. Stay with us. You're watching BET Tonight on Black Entertainment Television, and we're back in just a moment. Welcome back to the program. This is BET Tonight. I am Tavis Smiley. Normally we are off the air, but tonight a special 90-minute version. It's a big show squeezed into a small bag, and we had to do that because we have tonight not just the artist formerly known as Prince, but two of the other artists, legends in their own right on the NPG Records label. Pleased to be joined now by, she's all that on a bag of chips, Shaka Khan and the legendary Larry Graham. Nice to see you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. I'm first of all cracking up because we have all heard 1,001 stories about artists who get together, go on tour, and they're not speaking after the third date, let alone after the tour is over with. And the three of y'all still appear to like each other.
That's a lot of love here.
Agree to come on television together. You're still speaking to one another.
A lot of love.
Let me start with you, Shaka, and ask you, first of all, thanks for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure,
You're a legend.
Tavis.
It's nice to have you on. Let me start by asking you how you specifically, and I'll get Larry here second, how you came to be in this association with the artist. You were also at Warner Brothers Records.
Right.
You left. Tell me your story about why you decided to do this.
Well, actually, the artist is instrumental in helping me to leave Warner, actually. If not in his coaxing, then in offering some of his legal staff to help me to get freed up. Then once the seed was planted, you know, it was just a matter of time before everything just snowballed into what it's become right now. Soon after that, within months, I was free, and we were in the studio working on a CD.
You heard us talking earlier, you heard the artist more specifically talking earlier about freedom, and I noticed that you used the word freedom as well. What aspect of freedom, what about the freedom do you most appreciate? I mean, compare for me being at Warner and being at NPG and owning your own stuff and making, I mean, is it about making more money? Talk to me about those differences.
The thing I'm referring to is a very fundamental thing. It deals with the very essence of what you are. And when that is hampered with or affected in any way, the thing that you use to express yourself and to convey your thoughts and feelings to other people through a talent or some God-given phenomenon that you possess, when that's hampered or dealt with in any way, then you're totally messed up all over. It affects every part of you in every way. So, I mean, just to be able, just the thought and the knowledge that I can go into a studio and sing any song I wish.
Okay. Hold that thought. I hate to cut you off. I'm obliged to take a quick break right here. We got to do this, pay these bills. We'll come back and continue our conversation with Shaka Khan, Larry Graham, and the artist. We're back after these messages.
Look awful. Sinus pressure, huh? You know how Advil handles your tough pain fast? Well, Advil Cold and Sinus handles tough sinus pain fast. This is in this, plus a decongestant. That's why they call it Advil Cold and Sinus.
Pantene hair is my hair.
My hair. And my hair.
The Pantene Pro V system can make a difference. Nothing penetrates deeper than Pantene Pro Vitamins.
No matter what the length, texture,
or style. For hair so healthy, it shines.
Works for me.
Word up, don't be touching the dial, cause me and Killer Cam gonna be coming at you.
My man Tigger, Rap City joint, you know what I'm saying? Jump off Drake, check us out.
No doubt, the twins, baby, Rap City.
They touch our lives every day. Violent crime and car thefts are down in Union County. Our roads are being rebuilt, and a new light rail system is on the way. There are innovative daycare programs keeping seniors and families together. They've protected open space and improved parks without raising county taxes. The Froelich Democratic Team, Sheriff Ralph Froelich, freeholders Dan Sullivan, Louis Mingo, and Mary Rotolo. They touch our lives every day.
I'm sitting across from a person who's getting ready to write a large sum of money for an automobile, and I've purchased vehicles before, and I know exactly what they're going through. It can be nerve-wracking. The no hassle, no haggle price allows Saturn to be so much at ease with the customer and allows us to treat everyone so fair. It really doesn't matter whether you do a short-term lease, a long-term lease, short-term financing, long-term financing, or cash. Once you're in the Saturn family, you're in the Saturn family. I am going to see this person again. You see them at the supermarket, and you see them in a restaurant, so we want to make sure they are completely comfortable with the entire process.
Welcome back to BET Tonight. I'm Tavis, Smiley, a little old school there for you. She still looks just as good, and more importantly, she still sounds just as good. She is Chaka Khan, joined tonight by her along with the artist formerly known as Prince and Larry Graham, legend in his own right. You heard us talking to Chaka earlier about how she ended up with this relationship with the artist. I know you guys have been friends for quite a while, and yet after all these years, the two of you now in this synergistic sort of way come together. Tell me why and how for you this process came to be.
Well, I was on tour. I did the Aruba show with Sinbad, and then that was followed by a tour, Earth, Wind and Fire, and Graham Central Station, and Tina Marie, and so forth. And we were playing in Tennessee at the amphitheater. And my baby brother here was playing at the big venue, and I got this phone call at the hotel. Hey, there's going to be an after show tonight, you know, after party, and we're going to jam. You want to come down and jam with us? It's like, yeah. And so that was really the first time we got a chance to connect on stage and really speak from heart to heart with our instruments. That night, said a whole lot of hello and hey, how you been doing? Oh, everything's been going fine and all that. We said all that with our music and also carving out what we wanted to do for the future. It was all taking place right there on stage.
This guy, the artist, was bragging earlier about the fact that you all don't have a contract. You don't believe in contracts.
What would it say?
Yeah, and exactly. And he said that you would say that, and indeed you just said it. What would it say? I'm wondering though whether or not you, by the argument that I tried to offer to the artist earlier that he rejected, that people don't enter into relationships expecting them to go sour, but what do you do when it does go sour? Don't you want to protect yourself?
Well, I see your side, you know, how you...
I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not pushing this. I'm just asking.
But our relationship that we have is different than any other. And I love the relationship that we have, and our relationship musically is built on love. With my wife, I love my wife. It would be kind of strange if there had to be this contract in the beginning of our relationship, if this or if that, and you know, all this doubt and all that put into it in the beginning, our relationship would be a lot different. You know, musically speaking, there's so much love in what we do, and what we do comes from the heart, especially the music. If we put all this negative doubt out there, what if this and what if that, I'm telling you that, you know, I don't really trust you. Right. And you're telling me I don't really trust you either. And so let's get my lawyer to see how I can protect me against you and you against me. And next thing you know, it's like it's affecting the music, it's affecting the relationship.
It's the very thing too that we've been victimized by too, and a lot of artists are victimized by that same mentality, contractually and mistrustful.
Yeah, I actually think the contract is what makes the relationship go sour. Yeah, it's almost the nail in the coffin.
You raised the issue earlier, Chaka, about creativity, and I want to come back to that because I thought you were onto something. I want to kind of explore this a little further with the three of you. I thought I heard you started to make the point that when an artist feels that his or her creativity is stifled, when they're under the gun, when they don't have the budget they need, et cetera, et cetera. But it's basically when that creative process is being infringed upon, it makes you feel something, and you didn't really complete that thought. What happens in that place?
It's a very bad place to be. One loses interest. I was starting to actually like to lose interest in what I was doing. I didn't have the lust or the love for it anymore. Certain aspects of my career became a gig, a job, and that's what that's the beginning of the end. When that happens, you know, I may as well go get a job at the post office or the bank if that's happening. You know, and it was like a cancer that was kind of growing, sort of an emotional cancer. And I tell you, the floodgates opened when we got in studio. We started working, stuff came out. There were a couple of instances I was in tears. There were some tears, and it was like a major floodgate of stuff that was just...
And mind you, let me just say this, you know, cover or no cover, I got much love for Vibe. I finally saw a review of our work that best typified what we believe. They said, what do they say, a certified masterpiece. You know, when how you gonna miss? And she made a good point about, she started to lose interest. This is how we lose artists, right? And we should save artists, and I challenge people to take care of her. You know, this isn't about money for me. I'm paid, you know. I don't have to do this for money. I do this for my love of her because I don't want to see her get lost. You understand? So I challenge the radio stations, I challenge the record stores to take care of her. That's almost our obligation. Music is our enlightenment, all of us.
As the head of NPG artists, let me ask you a couple questions in that regard. One about distribution and the other about your clientele, your roster of performers. I'm wondering, first of all, let me start with the roster. You recall earlier in the show we were talking about what some of the critics were saying about you, that you're losing your cutting edge, and we discussed this already, and moving toward that R&B Legends tour. I'm wondering how it is that you chose, of all the folk you can work with, and I know there are a lot of folk who would love to work with you, how did you choose these artists, Chaka Khan and Larry Graham?
Well, first of all, let me deal with the head of NPG situation. Chaka is the head of Chaka, right? I can't be the head of her. She was my director on this project. She told me what to do. I was a hired hand, hired by love, all right? And as far as why I chose her, we should probably ask Erykah Badu, you know? She would choose Chaka too, you understand? We want to work with the best. And Chaka was in a situation where she wasn't happy. There wasn't much coaxing that needed to be done. You know, I say to her very simply, how do you want to make a record? She says, I want to fully realize my vision. All right, well, you can do that over here. And see, this doesn't negate her going back and doing deals with record companies, even Warner's. It's just, I think the record companies have to respect the art first and let that be the genesis of all decisions made.
Exactly. Let me raise this question of distribution. You know as well as I do, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. You can have the best product, you can have the best performers out there. Ultimately, it is that distribution that gets you paid. If you've got stuff and you can't get it delivered, if you've got stuff and people can't buy it, it doesn't mean anything. How do you envision putting together a distribution channel when you're not with one of the big boys anymore like Warner's to get your stuff in the streets?
Okay, this is in the infant stages right now, and it's growing as we speak. For example, Crystal Ball sold upwards of 200,000 copies at $50 a pop. You can do the math, and you can see.
I did the math. You got paid. Yeah, you got paid a little bit. I did the math.
All right. Well, that's all I'm saying. 200,000 copies by industry standards would be a failure. But when you take the lion's share of the profit, what happens is, you know, it's really simple. You know, it's really simple. And like I say, I'll say it over and over again. I don't negate the other way of doing business. This is just an alternative. That's all it is. And as far as distribution goes, being in a situation like this, you can distribute your music all kinds of different ways. We sell them at the gigs, we sell them over the internet, and by the way, people of color need to get online. We are left behind again, once again. We sell them through Best Buy, Blockbuster, HMV. A lot of stores have been really cool with us, you know. And I mean, how do you not stock her record? You know, you understand what I'm saying?
I feel you.
You ask any of the current artists today, which we have much respect for, the Lauryn Hills and the Erykah Badu's and what have you, they got much love for her, you know. So it's our obligation, and as a musician, this is Michael Jordan on the bass.
Hello.
Right?
No question about that.
And that's open and shut the book.
Right.
Now, how do you not stop that if you love music? So I challenge radio and I challenge record stores to take care of these people.
I got a break. We'll come back and get phone calls for the artist, Shaka Khan and Larry Graham, and we'll find out from the artist how much risk this new theory, this new process that he's trying out is putting him at and putting Shaka at and Larry Graham out. There's got to be some downside to this. It can't all be an upside. We'll find out what the downside is in just a moment. We'll continue our conversation. Stay with us. We're back in just a moment. BET Tonight, we'll go to your phone calls in 2 seconds here. Artist, before the break, I asked you about the fact that there must be some risk to this. What you're doing, in many respects, is quite revolutionary, breaking away from the big boys, doing your own thing, bringing artists with you from the big boys. Everybody in the music industry can't be happy about this. What personal risk to you and to these artists here do you think really exists?
You know, I have a lot of friends in the music industry still. And we plan to do business in the future. It's just an alternative. It's no big deal.
But you don't see this, let me be honest with you, you don't see this at all as risky in any sort of way?
Well, certainly not on our end. I mean, this has just been a learning, loving experience.
And I might add, too, that if I sold 100,000 of these at a company, they say, oh, that was a flop. And I'd probably be getting somewhere 14, 15 cents a record. Right.
Exactly.
If I sell 100,000 of these right now, I get $700,000. Excuse me.
Uh-oh. All right. Enough said. We'll take some phone calls.
That kind of said it.
That says it. Janet in New Jersey, thanks for holding you on the air, and I'm glad you called.
700.
Hi, my comment is for the artist. I'm 14, and ever since I was really young, I remember being very mesmerized and fascinated by your music. And up until the age I am now, I've come to realize how much you have, in fact, influenced my life so far.
I hope in a good way.
Yes, and shown me what I can be if I just apply myself enough.
That's
and
right.
Basically, my question is, how does it feel to know that you have such an impact on your audience, particularly your younger audience?
Makes me feel very grateful to be alive. And all I can tell you is Jesus is far more important. I've stopped signing autographs when I changed my name, so anybody out there, please don't ask. It ain't about that. We all need to unite for a reason now. We need to welcome Jesus' return. And if we can focus on that, all of us, I think a lot of this chaos will cease.
Well, I guess I can throw this magazine cover away. I would not be getting it signed tonight by the artist. Rashida in D.C., thanks for holding you on the air, and I'm glad you called.
Good evening, Tavis, Shaka.
Hi.
Everybody. I'd just like to say, God, please bear with me because I am trying to be calm.
Take your time.
I just want to say how big an influence you have been on me to the artist. And your music, like you said before, it's not music, it's a trip. And it takes, I think, a little bit of brains to get into it.
Yes,
and not just the funk, but the beauty, like Question of You and Curious Child and Power Fantastic. I mean, the beauty, the broad spectrum, but that's just my homage, and I'll get to my question now. My question is, how do you feel about the ticket brokers and the people who buy mass tickets and the real fans cannot get, up close without paying $200, $300, dollars in order just to get a good look.
Well, we didn't create this system. Artists didn't create the system of ticket selling. Simple fact that they'll tack $8 on extra just to see you is, listen, it's one thing at a time, and hopefully we can work on that too. I just wanted to say something. I find a lot of people that meet me, I feel a lot of love that comes forth, and a lot of them do cry, and it's almost as though I think that they just want to be known, and they want me to know them. I think we all want to be known in some respect. That's kind of what we're into right now. Shaka's allowed to fully realize her vision, and I think my music, I always had creative control, which I ultimately thank Warner Brothers for. They allowed me creative control. I don't own the master tapes, but I had creative control to create them. She did not. Larry did not. Larry had a guy that was working on his music. His name was Title Man. All right, you deal with all of that. All right. So I think my music has connected so much because I've had the chance to fully realize my vision. That's what MPG stands for. It's not a record company. There's no risk involved.
Let me change gears right quick and dramatically before my time runs out. I've only got a few minutes left in this show, unfortunately, because I can do this for another 30 minutes. There are rumors all over the internet, as you well know, artists, that you, Prince, and The Revolution, that is, may get back together next year for a reunion album, a reunion tour. This sister was asking about ticket sales. It kind of made me think about that. What you think?
Yeah, I'm working on music that I recorded with The Revolution. I don't see a reunion happening. I mean, they're free to come jam with us anytime they want to. Rosie Gaines just came back and did some stuff with us. Sheila E's expected to come out soon. Candy Dulfer, who used to play with me, she came out and did some dates. I mean, it's just a really fun-loving circus out there, and it's never going to stop.
Tony in New Jersey, I got time for a quick comment. You're on the air.
Yes, the artist, did you ever learn how to swim? Do you still play basketball? Thank you for the towel in Philly. Shaka Khan, are you still making chocolate? And Larry Graham, I challenge you to one thing. What's the difference in nationality, your birthright, and color?
The difference in my nationality?
Yeah, I mean, I have information for you. You guys are on the correct path. There are things I know and things you obviously all know, especially when it comes to freedom. I'm free.
Good.
Now, my question to you is, I'm sovereign. What does that mean to you, the artist especially? I've followed you for so many years. I hear your journey, and I know where you're going, and I wish I could get things that I have to you, and you to I.
Well, sovereign to me, of course, is God. And he, of course, has the right to tell us what to do. We live by his standards. And Jehovah sets the standards by which we live. And then that filters on down to us. And then we try to the best of our ability to live up to those standards. Granted, no one is perfect, and we make mistakes. And that's why he let us know that he gave his only begotten son so that we can get forgiveness when we mess up. And we just try to do it again better the next time. So that's what I get from sovereign, being obedient to God.
I have 1 minute, literally, artist. I'm sorry, only 1 minute left in the show. I want to give you 30 seconds of that to tell me what the message of all of this is.
I think Larry best said it. We got to unite for something. And as you see the three of us sitting here, we have no contract with one another. We've used love as our relationship as the basis for it, and thus we are successful.
I want to thank you, the artist, Shaka Khan.
Thank you.
Larry Graham, legends in their own right for coming on.
Everybody got to
put that up there. Put that up there.
New CD now.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. We're out of time. Thanks for watching this exclusive conversation with this expert audience and panel. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you tomorrow night. Until then, thanks for watching. And as always, keep the faith.